If you've been on the World Wide Web in the past couple of months, you might have noticed an uptick in people checking their heads for indents from their headphones and their gaming headsets. And if you're anything like me, you will have seen these images and thought, haha, that could never be me. Not because we wear the right headphones, but because, well, I am your cool Uncle Marissa and I have a small head. And I'm back with another round of, mini round, I'd say, of headphones for people with small heads. Now, if you have a small head like me, you know the irritation of trying to find a good pair of headphones, which don't feel like Zeus decided to spice up Sisyphus's punishment by cutting the boulder in half and making him carry it on opposite sides of his head. It hurts my neck, it hurts my ears, I just feel like I'm suffocating. So for me, over-the-ear headphones tend to be suffocation chambers. If you saw my last video, you will have seen two headphones that I recommended for smaller heads that do not have that effect. And I thought recently that I would try to find another one since it has been a while. So I'm going to go over two headphones today. The first one is the One More triple driver bass headphones. And the other one is the Waner SG, which are IEMs. And that feels like cheating because IEMs aren't headphones. It doesn't really matter how big or small your head is. But at the same time, I feel like it's good to share more about IEMs as an alternative, as something easier. And if you have a small head, you might have smaller ears as well. So I'm just going to talk about the fit as well as the sound. So let's get started. First off, I want to go over two things. What do I consider good sound and what kind of audiophile am I? I listen to a pretty wide range of music and I like headphones that can make all of the details shine. I am not a bass head. I used to be. I think we all kind of start out as one because there seems to be this primal urge for the thunk, 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 thunk. It's like the same desire for sugar. It just gives you a high. But as I've tried out more headphones over the years and listened to more music, I realized that my deepest appreciation comes from having a lot of detail, being able to hear all of the instruments, being able to hear the vocalist separate from it all, just having everything be clear without the bass being non-existent. So a balanced headphone that maybe leans a bit more to the bright. I am not the type of person who makes graphs, looks at graphs, knows a ton of technical terms, so all of these views are going to be subjective without any accompanying scientific information, so take it as you will. Now quickly, I also want to go over how do I find headphones for small heads, especially, we no longer live in a world where we can go to a store and try on different headphones. And I'm not just talking about, it's post-COVID, so people don't let you try things on anymore. It's been a really long time since A, you could do that, and B, that there were actually a reasonable, decent range of headphones at any big box technology store. Like even going to B&H, which is a very dedicated tech store, in Best Buy, all they have is like mainline Sony, maybe Sennheiser, Beats by Dr. Dre. That it's not a really big variety. So I am, like many of you, at the mercy of the internet. So here's what I do. First off, I go by visuals. If the ears on the headphone look small, I will click on it. Sometimes it's deceptive. Sometimes they look so nice and round and compact, and then you click on it and you see images of people wearing it, and it's like a grown man with a big head, and it takes up like this much of his ear, and it's like, okay, now that's probably the size of my face. That's the first thing. Another thing is if it's over the ear, looking at the reviews for complaints that this isn't really over ear, this is on ear. Because if it's on ear for most people, that means it actually is over ear for those of us with smaller heads and ears. And the third down that line would be just straight up looking at on-ear headphones, especially if they are not flat. The cups, if they are cupped, then the on-ear could translate to over-ear for us small-headed ones. And I'm not saying over-ear is better than on-ear. I think that it's just more people are interested in over-ear because there's better sound isolation and there's not as much sound leak. My favorite pair of headphones are still, bar none, the Grado SR80Es. They are open back and they are true on-ear. They have flat pads. You can check out my last video. I go over them in that. But I can't wear those in public because they leak sound like crazy. They're open back. Those are some hot tips from Uncle. Something that fell under that category that I saw recently was the One More triple driver over-ear headphones. It ticked the boxes. It has cupped ear pads and it has a lot of complaints from normal-headed and large-headed people saying that they are actually on-ear and not over-ear. The retail price for this was like in the triple digits, and I first found it on Drop where they had it on sale for $99, and then when I looked it up to check on other stores, on Jeff Bezos' store they had it for $60, I think. So I thought, you know, it's worth a try. So the packaging is definitely very premium. The box is very nice and it has a lot of weight to it. Once you open it up, the illustrations are really quite gorgeous and there's just a lot of lovely detail, and the case is solid and a really wonderful inclusion. Now let me just try them on so you can see what they look like. So they're a little flashy, which they have a bit of a steampunk feel. They're definitely heavier than my other headphones, not because of the size, but because of all of the metal trim. Like it makes it feel high quality, but also just like, I want to sit like this. Like these definitely are not going to feel like, oh yeah, it feels like air. It doesn't feel like air. Again, that point goes to my Grados. But otherwise, in terms of the comfort, the cups on this are really nice. They are pleather. I saw a lot of reviews about them peeling and stuff, but there's also, you can, you know, just rip them off and replace them with something even better if that happens. Mine did not arrive peeled. They're in good condition. And it's really soft. This part feels really nice on the ears. And same with the headband. It has it's just a really nice feeling, you know, it like almost feels like memory foam. And I also like that it says like the L and R inside it so clearly. Even someone as left-right challenged as me could do this. I want to also talk about the wire real quick. So it has a fabric coated wire, which these are like very hit or miss for me because I really like that they don't tangle. They just have a nice texture, but a lot of times they have issues with microphonics. This one doesn't, which is really neat. But the top part, which goes into the headphones, is just rubber. I'm not sure why. I wonder if that helps with the microphonics, or if they had to do that because of the remote. I really don't know, but it's odd, but it doesn't bother me. But what's most important is, what does it sound like? I have to say, I was disappointed. The sound on these was it felt like very compressed. The bass is definitely there. It is a good bass. So if you really like bass, it definitely has that thumping bass. However, aside from that, I couldn't really hear a lot of the details. I don't want to say that it's super muddy, because I have heard muddy headphones before and they're rough, but the separation between all of the details is not the best. There's definitely more distinction between female vocals and everything else than for male vocals. For male vocals, it tends to be a bit more, everything sort of close together. But for female vocals, you can hear the separation a little bit more. In my last video, one of the headphones that I talked about were my Beyerdynamic D240 Pros. They are a very neutral sounding headphone, and they feel like the best comparison to the One Mores because they have the same style of the over-the-ear cups that, you know, for normal large-headed people are on ear, and they have, you know, the similar cushioning. The Bear Dynamics are a lot lighter. The Bear Dynamics do not have the level of detail that the Grados do either. They do, however, live a little higher up, so you don't get the thumping bass, and the sounds do still feel closer together, the instruments, the vocals, and everything, but it feels higher up. Whereas with the One Mores, everything feels lower. So the bass is deeper, but then if you have male vocals, they get, you know, a bit more muddied, and it doesn't feel as balanced because of that. I can't wholeheartedly recommend them because I feel like, especially at the MSRP they have, which is in the 3 digits, I would be expecting more. One more. I will be returning mine, but I do want to give it the benefit of the doubt because I think that with burn-in, it might open up the highs a little bit more. But for me, they were not a winner, but they are very fun. So if your priority is bass, I would give them a try. But the only thing that I would reiterate and keep in mind is they are really heavy. So if you're watching this and you have a small head and you want something that feels comfortable, they might not be the best for long listening sessions because they do feel like I can feel the weight into my neck. Wait, I have to stop here. So before I packed it up to return it, I asked my girlfriend if she wanted to try them out, and oh my god, these things leak sound like they're open back, which they're not. Honestly, they're pretty disgraceful for MSRP $250 headphones, so I can't really give them the benefit of the doubt. If you really want to try them for $60, that's probably not a huge loss, but do better. So unfortunately for me, despite the beauty and elegance of these headphones, they will not be Cool Uncle's next top headphone. So next up we have the Waner SG, which are IEMs. Now I've always been a bit scared of the IEM world because the bang for your buck is pretty insane, and the sheer amount of options out there are also insane, and I don't need to go down that rabbit hole. So my last pair of IEMs had been serving me quite well, the Tin T2s, and at the time of their release they were considered one of the best. However, IEMs, and I mean, let's be quite frank here, Chinese hi-fi has gone leaps and bounds in bang for your buck. And the Waner SG are about $20 to $30 depending where you buy them, and apparently were amazing. So I bought them and a couple of other IEMs that unfortunately won't be in this video because they're not here yet. And I have to say, spoiler alert, I was very impressed. So I bought mine with inline mic. I don't use an inline mic, but it comes in 3 gorgeous colors. They're all very pretty. I was torn between the black and brown and the green, but the design of the stork on the green one really sold me, and it was only available on Jeff Bezos' site with the inline mic. So I bought that, and here's a kicker. I bought another IEM cable so that I could use with it that doesn't have a mic. And I'd heard really great things about the Kinera Ace, and so I went with that. And boy, am I glad I did, because the first thing you notice is the Waner SG is beautifully packaged. The box is really pretty. I see a lot of IEM companies, especially Moondrop, who I have yet to try any of their IEMs, package everything in like waifu packaging, which is like very cringe to me. So I did appreciate that the packaging is very beautiful, very artistic, without falling back on underage anime girls. So you open the box and you see the IEMs there, and boy are they gorgeous. And along with them, you get 6 different silicone tips, which I will not be showing you because as soon as I took them out, I managed to drop all of them on the floor and they got covered in like cat hair. So thankfully the ones that were stock attached to the IEMs were actually the ones that fit my ears the best. I can't really comment on the other ones. According to the website, they have 3 pairs that are balanced and 3 that are vocal, but I wasn't able to tell the difference. There's nothing that tells you, and I don't use silicone ear tips anyway, so I kind of just let it go. And then you see the cable, which is in its own box, and boy, yeah, I think you're really just paying for the IEMs in this case, which is still a great deal, but I haven't seen a cable this crappy in so long. Like, it's nice that they braided it, like they tried to, you know, and it's nice that they did like the ear hoop things. I have to say one thing I genuinely like about it is the 90-degree angle jack. I really like the 90-degree jacks, and they don't usually come with that. But yeah, it sucks. And it doesn't just suck like, oh, it feels bad, it gets tangled, it's not like heavy. It has microphonics. So just my earring that I wear here, like, was hitting against it, and I could hear the like, it's terrible. So these go in the trash. No, I mean, they don't, because I don't just throw things in the trash. These will be donated. I don't know. I'll do something with them. If you want them, tell me. And I put on the Kinera Ace, which I'll talk about the Kinera Ace cable in a bit. I don't want to take the spotlight away from the Waner SG. First off, in terms of fit, let's talk about fit. So my previous IEMs were Tinty 2s. I talk about those also in my last video on headphones for small heads, and they have a very traditional shape. They're also metal, you know, the just, you know, typical earbuds like that are wired. They're just like P-shaped, like the letter P. So I never worried about them fitting or not fitting. A lot of IEMs now have like shapes like this, and like this is pretty big. So I've always been nervous, like, is this actually gonna fit in my ear? And it did. Yay! But it doesn't fit in my ear exactly how it's supposed to. So yeah, I don't know how much can actually be seen, but you see that it's supposed to like follow the curve of your ear, and it does that really well. But this like angular edge hits my, like, this bone in my ear, and that becomes uncomfortable. So instead of having them flat, which I feel like is the best way, I have to have it a little like out so that it's not touching my ear bone. So that's the only like big gripe I have with the fit, but you know, everyone's ears are different, so I don't know how they will be for yours. I have small ears, but I don't have tiny ears. And of course, everyone's ear bones are placed differently, so you could have smaller ears than me with your bones, like, just, you know, if your ear's more round, it's gonna be, well, yeah, whatever, anatomy, right? The fact that they're not metal, the casings, means that they are very light and they don't cause a lot of fatigue, if that's something that you're worried about. Although my Tinty 2s didn't cause me any fatigue despite being metal, but they also don't feel cheap, which I was worried about because I kept hearing like 3D printed IEM cases, resin cast cases, and I was like, aren't they gonna feel like cheap? But no, they feel good. And now sound. So I'm going to use the Tinty 2s as my control group because that's what I've been listening to in terms of IEMs for the past whatever years. Now the Tinty 2s are very bright. They have bass, but it's very little. They very much bring out a lot of detail, and vocals are very clear, but after a while it can get harsh and just annoying with how bright it is. it can stop being relaxing. One thing that really helps with that is ear tips. So I used foam ear tips for them. And foam ear tips for me are a savior because silicone ear tips make my ears sweat. And that's just not nice for anyone, especially me. That's mainly just not nice for me. And foam ear tips, they also do a couple of other things in that they fit better. So they provide a better sound seal. And they also increase the bass, but muffle the treble a little bit. So they actually worked really perfectly with the Tinty 2s, which they suffer from the issue of, maybe not enough bass, too sibilant, too high pitched. So that muffling of the highs and increasing of the lows, in addition to an appropriate equalizer on my audio player, made them quite pleasant to listen to. So now going from those to the Waner SG. So I first listened to them with the silicone tips. And I have to say, wow, they have good bass. The vocals are clear. You can hear a lot of detail in the music that you listen to. Really nice with female vocals, with male vocals, with classical music. I listen to a range of things, and it has like a really fun and yet balanced sound. So it's not boring, but it's not imposing something on it that the music is not. And just the vocals on it were just really good. The brightness level was perfect. Like the treble just like rolls. It's smooth. It was like what I was trying to equalize and foam tip eyes my Tinty 2s to be. And then I swapped over to the foam tips, and they changed it too much. So the foam tips, while foam tips are more comfortable for me, it took the bass, which I felt was in the right place, and made it lower, which is fine. It's, I feel like I'm a lot more flexible on where the bass is when I'm listening to music. But it took the detail of the trebles and the vocals and, just the higher pitched instruments and strings and pulled that down too. And then it no longer had that perfect flavor for me. So I'm going to try and use these with silicone tips. I have also heard that if you use foam tips that are more circular as opposed to the tunnel, that they can maintain more of the sound signature of the IEMs as they are. So I will give that a try and I will share my findings with you guys. But I have to say, I don't think that there's any harm in picking these up because at the price point, they're just delightful. It's a very delightful surprise, and they're beautiful aesthetically, and just you do have to replace the cable if you want a really nice experience, but the cables for IEMs are pretty interchangeable. They're mostly all use 2-pin, so no harm in that. And overall, I very highly recommend them. And I'm just gonna keep trying with the silicone tips, order some round foam tips, see how that affects things, because just out of the box, they sound so good. And this is without any burn-in, this is without any equalizers. They sound great to me. Now I very quickly want to touch on the Kinera Ace Cable. The reason for that, even though this is a headphones for small heads review video, is because if you are like, okay, uncle, I'm gonna get the Waner SG, and I've just told you the stock cable sucks, so I just want to tell you how the cable is that I got. So this cable is thick, like it is a rope. You can see it's thicker than both the chains on my necklaces. But it is very lightweight. Now that can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. I really liked the wire on my Tinty 2s. Unfortunately, they do not use a 2-pin connection, so I wasn't able to reuse those because they just they have more weight on them, even though they're not as thick as the Kinera. But otherwise, you know, one good thing about this thickness too is it's like tangle proof. I mean, I'm sure you could tangle it if you tried, but yeah, it's pretty tangle proof. It also comes with 3 different connectors for the end, a 2.5, a 3.5, and a 4.4, is it? I don't have anything that uses that. And it connects securely, so I was a little nervous about that, but it's a nice thing to have. And yeah, I agree that for the price it's nice, but I think that I would like to get something that's a bit more premium feeling, something that feels a bit more like jewelry, that has a bit more weight to it. So if you want something lightweight, functional, and does not tangle, these are fantastic. So yeah, grab a pair of these. In general, cables I think are either good and you don't notice, or they're crap and they have microphonics. So I think you're not gonna go wrong as long as you get a set of cables that have good reviews and come from a, you know, trustworthy company. Oh, and if you are interested in using foam tips, so the foam tips are Comply, and they're a little tacky feeling. I know that sounds gross if you've never tried them before. It's not like they're sticky. It's just, you know, they have a good hold. The foam is really just like malleable, so they'll fit really nice. I don't use them. So there's another brand called Newbie, not like newbie like, hey, he's new at chess, but like newbie like if you were a beekeeper and you come home excited and you're like, I got some new bees. They're more affordable and they are relatively the same when you are looking for the sort of tunnel regular IEM types. But that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching, my dear nerd fuse, whether your head be small, regular, or ginormous. I will be receiving 2 more IEMs in the mail that I want to try out that are from the same company but slightly different models. Let me know in the comments if you would be interested in me doing a video on that, because I really do feel like these small head things are beneficial, because sometimes I'm Googling it and like what comes up, I come up. That's not helping anyone. Well, it is, just not me. And IEMs are kind of feel like cheating because they're, you know, they don't have anything to do with your head. But if you're just interested in audio review in general, let me know, because I do love music so much. I'm not a graph person. I don't measure frequencies. But I've got my taste in sound profiles and I've got ears. Thank you so much, as always, to my Ko-fi supporters. This month's supporters so far, I'd love to give a shout out to our Chillawatt and Windsucker. You guys are awesome. But as always, thank you so much for watching. And remember, you are always welcome at Cool Uncle's house. See you in the next one.